Hello and welcome to another What Sold video. This is everything that sold for me at the end of February, so February 22nd to February 29th. I know I'm a little behind my videos. I promise they will be caught up as quickly as possible, but I'm going to scoot over here and let's go ahead and go over them. The first item is this new book. The book is called From the Shadows by Juan Jose Milas. This is from that big book buyout I did. I paid 10 cents for this book. It sold for my full asking price of $16.87. Now, again, I only picked this up because it was 10 cents and it was brand new. So I would pick this up if I found a bunch of books by this author in a lot for very cheap so I could sell them in a lot. But the only reason I picked it up because it was new. Still happy I sold it. Now this I did pick up pre-owned. This I picked up at the Benz. I paid 50 cents for this, and the only reason I picked this book up is because it was signed. I do not normally pick up Jodi Picoult books unless they're signed. Unless they're signed or like really old first editions of famous works, I don't tend to pick up those books. But because this was signed and a first edition and also technically vintage, I did pick it up for 50 cents, sold for $9.87, so I made $5 off of this. Happy for that. I don't know what's going on, but I'm perfectly here for it, and that is anytime I list a Ralph Lauren tie from the 90s, it has sold within like a week or less, which is amazing. I don't know what's going on with that. I'm perfectly happy to continue doing that. I have been lucky the last month of finding ties when I go to the bins, and I have found at least one 90s tie, Ralph Lauren tie. I've also found a Chaps Ralph Lauren tie, which I will get into a what sold at some point in the future that shows that that sold. But they've all sold really quickly, so don't know about that. But this sold for $15. I picked up the bin, so I have maybe like a quarter into it. And I loved this. I thought that was great. But I kind of figured it would sell. It was 100% silk. It was a traditional width, and it was 58 inches, so it's a classic length. And it had tigers on it. I know Tiger King was a, you know, a 2020 thing, but I still thought it was cute. Another piece from that book buyout, but this was not brand new. This was like new condition. It had like a ding on one of the corners, but I paid 10 cents for it. It sold for $9.78. I will pick up these Oxford Classics when I find them if they're in really good condition, because they do sell for me. Some of the used ones will actually still sell really well, so I will still pick up the Oxford Classics. Oxford is a town in the UK. They're also a Ivy League school, or a really well-renowned school. Hi, Miss Moxie. Everybody's going to see your butt. There we go. Now maybe we can see your face. Moxie has decided to join us. Hello, baby girl. Another book from the book buyout. Again, another book that I would not have picked up unless it was new. Sold for $8, paid 10 cents for it. And all of the books that I'm talking about are all free shipping, so it normally costs between $4 to $5 to ship them out. So just subtract that, and that's how much I made from the book. These are actually used books. I picked these up at the bins. I paid 50 cents each, so I have $1 invested into this. And I knew these Peter and the Starcatchers books were popular, and I also knew that if they weren't worth reselling online, I could take them to Second & Charles, which is the secondhand bookstore, and get store credit for them and buy books that I can resell online. That's what I do. I normally have like one bag of, when I go to the bins every week, I have normally one bag of books I take to Second & Charles. I have a giant box of books to list myself, and then I will have a bag of books to sell and whatnot. So that is how I do books, and it's normally pretty great. These I actually could sell because I had two of them, so I was able to sell them for $13.87. It costs about, $6 to ship these because they were pretty heavy, but I still made, $5 off of it. And if that's not for you, cool. I love books, so it is for me. So I actually sold another lot of these books. I know in a previous What Sold video, I sold, 20 plus of 28 of these for like $130 plus shipping. I found a few of them at the bins, and I picked them up because I had luck with the big lot, so I figured the little lot would still do well. These sold for $21.87 free shipping, so it cost about $6 to ship these. It cost $2 to buy them, so I only made like 12 bucks this time, but I will pick these up when I find them, anytime I find them now, because I have had really good luck selling them, and both of those lots, the big lot and the little lot, sold very quickly after I listed them. This is actually something I got for free. These are a set of shower stall curtains. I got a box of these. The boy's landlord owns a bunch of commercial property, and there was a warehouse that he kicked the people out of, and thus he had to clear it out. And he was like, hey, we're almost done. If you want to see if there's anything here you want, come in. I didn't really find a whole lot for me to resell. I found this box of shower curtains, random, and I found a box of chainsaw link thingies, blades, whatever. I also found the Z-Rack that I have been using that I absolutely love. Like, my mom gave me a double Z-Rack, which again, Mommy, if you're watching this, thank you very much. But I really like the Z-Rack that I found at, which is a clothing rack that you hang clothes up at this warehouse, because it is exactly like the ones I used to use at Adidas. So it folds down perfectly flat. I love it. I think it's great. I love it. I've been using it so much. But because these are free, that means that I have 100% profit out of this. I made $29.74, and then the buyer paid a padded flat rate to ship it to them. So these were wonderful. That was great. I didn't know if they would sell at all, but they did. So yay! Those actually came from when Bed Bath & Beyond closed. That's what the stickers were on them, on the box. So that is like leftovers from that closing. Perfect. Sad that they're closed, but I'm glad that I made money from that free stuff. This is another thing that I picked up at that book buyout. I paid 10 cents for this, sold for $17.87. Again, a book that, you know, cost $5 to ship, so I still made 10 bucks off of it, which I think is great. This is a set of books that I picked up at the bin. So I have $1 into them because they're 2 hardcover books. I am very sad that these ones were not signed, because if these were the special edition signed books, because these were supposed to be the books that Pearl S. Books signed. Like, she was supposed to sign 1,000 of each of these special edition copies. The 2 that I found were not signed. If they were signed, they would have been more like $50 to $100 a piece, versus I sold 2 of them for $30, which I was perfectly fine with because I have $1 into them. So this was great. This is Book of the Courtier by Baldassare Cataligo. I don't know how to say this lovely Italian man's name. But this is a book that I picked up for 10 cents at that book buyout. This was not new, so it sold for $6.87, so I only made $1 or $2. But again, I love books. I love buying and selling books, so I will do that all day long. If it's not for you, don't do it. This is a set of figs. I think I only have one more set left to sell. I'm not 100% sure. I think if I have a set, it's the seal blue color that's left. But I have $11 into this, and it sold for $38. It was one of those like right place, right time, and I found a whole Z-Rack full of men's size large figs in like so many colors, and that was great. I wish I could find that again, because almost all of them have sold by now, and I found that I think at the end of last year. So 3 months, that's pretty great turnaround for me. This is a permabound hardcover edition of Sound of the Fury, which is one of William Faulkner's most famous books. It sold for $9.87. I have 50 cents into this from the bins. Now, this is one of those items that I picked up at the bins during my weekly bins trips. I offered it up for sale on Whatnot, and it did not sell. But it did sell on eBay. It sold for $29.87. I picked this up because it was green and it was adorable. It was a vintage jumper from the 90s. It had chickens on it. I was like, there is going to be some cottagecore, grannycore homesteader out there that is going to want this, and I was right, and I'm so glad it sold for my full asking price. This was a nice heavy cotton jumper. I did put modest in the title because it was a full maxi length dress, and it was not a tight fitting dress, it was a loose jumper. So that was a good keyword to put in there, and yeah, I probably have like $2 into that dress. Perfectly happy with that. I will pick up the leather-bound Harvard Classics when I find this. This I found at the bins. I paid 50 cents for it. Sold for $14.87, so I made like 9 bucks off of this book very quickly, because this sold like within, 48 hours of me listing it, which is great. This is an order where someone sent me an offer for 2 similar items, and I accepted both of them. And then if you see one of them says refunded, it's because I refunded the shipping overages, because I have flat rate shipping on all of my items unless it's books, and then it's free shipping for almost all of them. So I just refunded like the little bit of shipping overage there was for this, but you know, I have $4 into these shirts because I picked up a bunch of these shirts at an estate sale for $1 to $2 each, and I'm just happy that they're gone. So yeah, I made like 20 bucks off of these shirts, and they both sold with the same buyer. This is a viewer sale, so Nancy, thank you very much. She bought this vintage Beard on Pasta, which is James Beard, who is a famous chef from times gone. Think of like Julia Child, James Beard, kind of the same time period. I found the spins for 50 cents and Nancy bought it for me, so hopefully you've made some delicious pasta recently, and I hope you've been enjoying it, and I really appreciate you buying it from me, Nancy. Thank you very much. So this was great. I sold this to a viewer and made like $4 and saved a book from the trash. This is another one of those books that I picked up at that book buyout, so I have 10 cents into it. It sold for $6.87 because it wasn't new. So I made like $1 or $2 off of this. Happy with that. Another book from the same thing, but this was new, so it sold for $13.87, so I made like $9 off of this book, which is great. Another one of those fig sets. This was in the like classic navy. These are the Leon top and the Pisco bottoms. I will say this again if you are new to scrubs. If they are a newer style of scrub, if you look in the material tag, it'll say 100% awesome and then actually tell you what it's made out of, but then it'll also normally have the style as well. If it does not have the style name, you can normally enter that style number onto the Figs website and it'll tell you which one it is. But this sold for my full asking price of $44.87, and again I have $11 into the set, so lovely. This is from the big vintage buyout that I did, so I have a quarter into this shirt. It sold for $15. It's from the 70s. It was just like a little light puff sleeve with like a ruffle neck, so you could do like Victorian or Edwardian. That's normally what it is, but it's from the 70s. It's when the 70s did Victorian style. That's what that's from. This is an antique book. This is The Return of Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle from 1905. Did have some minor condition issues because this book is, you know, almost 120 years old. But I picked this up at the bins, so I have 50 cents into this, and it sold for $24.87. So I made basically $20 off of this book, which is absolutely wonderful. I love that. Again, whenever I see a bunch of FBA sellers at the bins scanning the books, don't care. Because chances are I will still have a full cart when I leave, even if they have a full cart, because we are not selling the same thing. Speaking of, this is a Hanes Repair Manual. I paid 25 cents for this. This sold within like a week of me listing it. It sold for $8.25, so I made a few dollars off of this, and I love selling books. It's front, back, spine, showing the inside. We're good. Super quick and easy. All right, this is Nanette Lepore. This was in the rotating reseller closet, and I did put it up on Whatnot because this did come from the bin, so you know I have $1 or less into the shirt. I did wear it once before it sold. Again, normally if it's a shirt that I really like and I list it up on eBay, chances are it'll sell pretty quickly, and that's what happened here. But I'm really happy that it went off to a new home and glad I got to wear it once before it did. Sold for $9. Again, I picked up the bin, so I have $1 or less into it. This is a set of Robert Jordan books. These are the Wheel of Time books. They sold, this is 1 through 11. So 1 through 11 are all of the ones that Robert Jordan wrote before he passed away. Do you need to know that? No, not necessarily. But that's why I was okay just doing a 1 through 11 lot instead of doing like, there are actually 15 books in this Wheel of Time series. There's the 1 through 14. Which Brandon Sanderson, I think, is the one who helped finish this series for 12, 13, and 14. And then there is A New Spring, which is a prequel to the Wheel of Time books. Do you really need to know all this? Well, maybe if you find a big set of them out there, because these were all actually free to me. And once the Wheel of Time Amazon series came out, my partner decided that he needed to replace all of his books, paperback books, with hardcovers. So I've slowly been helping him do that as I find them. So I guess they weren't technically free. It was, I would find one at the bin, a hardcover at the bins for like 50 cents and give it to him, and he would give me the paperback until I had 11 of them. But they did sell for $51.90. So this cost about, I think, $10 to ship all of them. because they were thick books, but I still made like $35 off of this, so I think that's pretty great. A lot of books in this this video, guys. That's why there's no season for books, and that's why I've been listing them, is because they've been keeping me in sales, because recently sales have been slow for me. This is Kentucky Kitchens. This actually sold pretty quickly. I picked this up at the bins for 25 cents, so I made $8 off of this. This is another pair of pants that I put up on Whatnot. It didn't sell on Whatnot, but they sold very quickly once I listed them on eBay. They were a pair of Levi's Slim Fit 511 corduroy pants. I would not recommend picking these up at the regular retail store, but I will pick up corduroy pants in good shape at the bins. And these sold for $12 plus the buyer paid padded flat rate shipping. This is Henry Green. This is 3 of his novellas put into one Penguin book. I paid 10 cents for this. It sold for $8.88. Made a couple dollars off of this from that big book buyout. This is also from the same buyout, so 10 cents into it. This is Voss by Patrick White. This is one of the Penguin classics. Sold for $10.87. So I made, you know, $5 off of this, which is great. This is a Bowden shirt. I picked this up also at the bins. I put it up for sale on Whatnot. Didn't sell on Whatnot. Sold on eBay for $7. I pick up Bowden whenever I find it at the bins because it does eventually sell. I am a little bit more picky paying retail for it, and also a little bit more picky, like, if I'm paying retail, the styles I pick up there. But at the bins, this was super lightweight. I paid probably $1 for it, so happy that sold. Another cookbook sold to a viewer, so Barbara, thank you very much. She bought this Better Than Bouillon cookbook. It's 250 recipes about cooking with bouillon. At least that's my impression. I had 25 cents into this, and she bought it for me for $7.87 with free shipping, so I made a couple of dollars, and I appreciate that very much, Barbara. I hope you liked it and have at least cooked maybe 1 or 2 things from there and that they've been delicious. Probably again from that big book buyout, so 10 cents into this. It sold for my full asking price of $11.87. This is Apocalypse by D.H. Lawrence. I've talked about that I will pick up D.H. Lawrence books if I can get them for cheap, and they're in really good shape because of the fact that they do sell for me. D.H. Lawrence is considered a classic literary character or classic literary writer, so I will pick up his stuff when I find it. This is a Coolie Bar shirt. This, I think I did pick it up for Thriftmas, and I'm just finally getting around to listing it, but it sold for like pretty much as soon as I listed it for $14. I paid $5.25 for this at Goodwill, I believe. I'm not 100% sure where I bought this from because it's been a while. What is it? It's April now? Don't remember, but I paid $5 for this no matter what. Another bins find that I put up for sale on Whatnot, and it did not sell on Whatnot, but it did sell on eBay when I listed it. I do like doing like these fancy layouts sometimes to show how it fits. Especially this one had like a lot of different snaps and zippers and stuff and ways to style it, so I did that figuring it would help sell it. It did. Sold for $20 because I picked this up at the bins and it was like a heavy canvas jacket. I probably paid $2.50 for this, but it sold for $20, and the buyer paid padded flat rate for shipping, so that was lovely. This is Tools of Engagement by Tessa Bailey. This is one of those books. I actually picked this up because I was doing a Whatnot. I was doing a Valentine's Day Whatnot for Whatnot. I don't normally sell a whole lot of romance books. That's not a genre that I read a whole lot of, and it's not a genre that I have a whole lot of knowledge of. I have learned some now because of Book Talk, and also because of trying to find stuff for this Whatnot. But I was surprised when it didn't sell on Whatnot, but sold pretty much as soon as I listed it on eBay for $6.87. I have 25 cents into this because I picked it up at the bin, so I made a couple of dollars, but I also could have taken this to Second and Charles and they would have bought it from me, no problem. This is Roadside Picnic by Bort Strugatsky. I've talked about this book before. If you find this book out in the wild, pick it up, it will sell. I am sad that I did not put all of my roadside picnics on Whatnot because they would have sold for way more than I sold them here on eBay, but that's because of my book channel. But it's okay. I still made, you know, $5 off of this sale, and I'm really glad that somebody else is going to get to experience this book because this is probably one of the most well-regarded science fiction books currently on BookTube right now. Speaking of books, this is a big shout out to Taylor. Taylor found this when she went shopping with me at the bins. She was thankfully helping me dig through the books because I was spending like 2 or 3 hours doing that, and I felt a little bad about that because I was like, I spend 2 or 3 hours doing the books and then I go to the clothes. But she was a good sport and she actually found this for me, so Taylor, thank you so much. This is Cyber Frog. This was the special Chromium edition of this comic, and it also was signed. So it sold for my full asking price of $39.87. I actually got a bunch of lowball offers when I listed it, and I knew it would sell at $40, so I just ignored them. And it did sell for $39.87. So Taylor, thank you so much for handing this off to me. I really appreciate it, and this was amazing. She's like, I think this is something, but I don't know. I don't really sell this kind of stuff. And I was like, no, this is great. Thank you so much. But Taylor, thank you. This is something else I got from free from my partner's landlord. These are some antique Haviland Limoges little tiny saucers. I got them for free, so I went ahead and listed them. They didn't have any chips or cracks in them. They sold for $12 and the buyer paid $10 for shipping. You know, I made 10 bucks off of these after, you know, fees and whatever. And I didn't know the exact pattern, but I did get a message after these arrived at their destination, and the individual that these were for, she was like, thank you so much. These actually match my cups so well. I've been looking for saucers for these cups that I've had for forever, and I'm so glad I finally found a set that was affordable. So I'm glad I was able to provide that, especially since, you know, it was free and I was able to make some money. But that is everything. I'm sorry if you're not into books, and because I know pretty much this has all been books, but as I talked about before, like my clothing and like everything else sales have been really slow. The only thing that has literally kept me consistently having sales in February was my books. So, and it wasn't like that was the only thing I was listing. I have been consistently listing other stuff, and it's just how things have been going. But I appreciate everybody watching, and I hope you guys are having better sales than I did in February, and I hope that I will see you in the next video. Until then, bye! Bye.
Hero, hero, I wanna be a hero, hero. Oh, the hero comes, I can hear the drums and a horse.